Hey, I was going to ask you a question, JJ.
Oh, go for it. Yeah, go for it.
I don't know her last name, but over at the Alta Mesa Food Bank that we volunteer at sometimes, my mom mostly now, I haven't had a chance to go back over lately. There is a lady named Rosie. She was in the Air Force and did nuclear weapons as well.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, all
I
right.
was like,
Was she like a missileer or what? A scientist, you know?
I'm not sure. I'd have to ask her, more background, but I'd imagine small enough field that you would have encountered each other at some point, maybe.
Well, missiles is a huge field, and no, the scientists and the missileers usually don't interact because the scientists are the design and the theoretical and the research,
Mm-hmm.
and the missileers are the operations end. And I just happened to work with some missileers when I went to Global Strike Command, and I realized ops is a whole different world from
Mm.
research.
Okay.
So I'm curious. I'm curious. There's not that many women in the scientific side, but there's also not that many women who last long in missiles either.
Yeah.
So yeah, or bombing. So some
No,
women
she's
who are.
tough. Like I wouldn't want to go there.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, she's tough. I wouldn't want to go toe to toe with her.
Oh. Yeah, I used to be a lot tougher. I'm not so tough anymore. My sons, they have figured out mama's a big old cream puff.
I think it just
So,
happens when you get older.
I don't know if it's my internet, but I'm,
I
can
do
y'all
not
hear
recognize
me?
myself because I feel I've was tried out later as in life. It's cutting in and out, but I
It might be my Wi-Fi that if you all can hear me okay, but I can't hear y'all okay, then it might be my
my
Wi-Fi.
internet's been not so good lately.
Well, hey Lisa, we're glad that you're on today. Ruth Ann, can you hear us okay, or do you hear us chopping out too?
Oh, I freezing up. Sarah's, face was still and she was just still talking a while ago. So it's freezing up every once in a while.
Okay, okay. Well, we'll just keep going through it, and hopefully it'll all work out and it'll be okay. We'll just have to know that that's kind of going like that. So, okay. Well, we've got a couple more that are signed up. I want to wait just about a minute, but I also believe in being respectful of people's time. I believe an excellent event starts on time and ends on time. And so we're already a little bit over our start time. So I'm going to give folks one more minute of grace and we can chit chat if you like, and then we'll just go ahead and get started. Today's topic is going to be finding deals. And so that's where we're going to start at today. In fact, oh, it's already recording. Okay, good. I'll have to trim off the front matter before I give it to Tim. But one of the things that people have been talking about in their feedback for the group is more information on how do we get started in real estate investing. So that's what we're going to talk about today. But I do want to give people a few more minutes, make sure if there's because we still have 4 more that RSVP'd. Although from my perspective, to get 9 RSVP and 5 show up, that's pretty good for an online event. That's this time of day, that's pretty good. Let's just see. I see we've got some folks who aren't on camera, and that's fine. If you have a question or if you have a comment, you can always do the audio or you can drop it in the chat. If for some reason, I was about to drop it in the chat, but if you can't access the chat, you wouldn't be able to access this anyway. But if for some reason you can't access the chat or anything, you can text me and I'm going to drop my number into the hold on, I got a new phone. I got a new 254 phone. I shouldn't have said all that till I was sure I had my new number up. Hold on a second. But yeah, I finally decided I'm not leaving Texas for a while, so it's time to get a new phone. I'm going to drop my new number in the chat. You don't have to follow suit. I am going to ask that that because we're all spread out and because Texas internet is wonky, especially, I don't know if it's storming where you all are at, but I'm in Granbury today and it's quite cloud covery and a little sprinkly. So I don't know if it'll turn into storms, but let's if we have a lot of loud environment or anything like that, let's just go ahead and mute ourselves when we're not talking. And I think we're about ready to get started. Today is our first official meeting. We had a planning meeting, and I think most of you were there at the planning meeting, so that's kind of cool. We took your inputs, and what we did was we looked at how long people wanted the meeting, so about an hour. We looked at what times people wanted the meeting, and most people voted for this time of day, which was the same time of day that we met for the planning meeting. We polled about recording or not recording, and we were still pretty mixed on that. We were about 50-50 on recording, but I think what we've settled on is having people who registered for the event be able to access the recordings. I think that's what we settled on. We either settled on that or having people only who attended have access. I've got to go back and confirm with Tim. I know each extra layer of protection there caused more work for Tim. So I can't remember what I agreed to, but I know it's in writing and it was based on the votes. So that's where we're at. And we will allow some time at the end if people want to ask questions off camera. Then we could definitely do that and stop the recording at the end. So, you know, this part of the reason we have a ladies group is that sometimes there's things that ladies deal with when investing in real estate that others don't deal with, you know, or those who present themselves as ladies, I guess is the better way I should say it. So with that said, we're just going to do real quick. I wanted to have a topic for the day, but I forgot to bring the HDMI cable, so I can't run the slides that I was gonna try to do. But I would like to have a topic for the day. So, you know, but for today, we'll just do our names and very briefly our investing experience. Okay. We discovered last time that if we all talk too long, and I've already talked too long in the intro, but it's the intro, so I figured it'd be all right. If we talk too long, then we're not going to have time to get through. And so just your name and your investing experience, and then we're going to roll into tonight's theme for the night, and that is finding deals. Okay, I'll kick us off, and again, I'm putting my information in the chat. You don't have to, but you're welcome to. And then anytime somebody else comes in, I'm going to also add repost it because they won't have the previous. But my name is JJ Conway. You can reach out to me at queenofcashflowusa@gmail.com. And my number, my new 254 number is 254-454-4673. So that's where I'm at. And my investing, I've been investing for almost 20 years. But half of that was just tagging along with my ex-husband. And when I became single again, it took me a little bit of time to get comfortable because of these big dollar amounts and how much debt we had gotten into by following traditional investing strategies. And so not to knock what anybody else teaches, but I teach a debt-free investing strategy. And so a debt-free, debt avoidance, debt transformation. And so it's different from what everybody else teaches, not to say it doesn't work for them. But when you end up divorced, single military mom with over $845,000 of debt, and most of it's in upside down and over leveraged real estate, you don't want to deal with any more debt. So that's the, so I do love investing. I love real estate. It gives me the lifestyle that I have now. And for that, I'm very thankful. I probably busted my own rule there because I get excited about how far I've come. Who would like to go next? We've got, I can just call folks or we can just have folks go. It's however you prefer to do it.
Well, mine will be quick. I can go next.
Okay, Ruth Ann, we're so happy you're here today.
Back in the late 70s, I got into real estate with, real estate license, and I wasn't getting busy quickly enough. and I had a friend that went into it with me. So we just decided to assume a VA assumable mortgage
Mhm.
where the lady wanted to move out of state, and took that over and stripped it down and remodeled it and sold it. So that's my one and only flip that wasn't from, not remodeling for myself. But
Mhm.
then after that, in 93, I got into mortgage. And so I've just seen it all from the mortgage entity since then.
Ooh, I bet you've got some stories to tell. You probably know a lot of investors like me who got caught up in all the subprime and the over leveraging and the 125% loans, and then got left holding the bag. And what was that, 2009, 2008?
I heard horror stories.
Yes, I was one of them. All right, all right. Who do we have next on the line?
I'll go ahead. Sarah Knutson, and I'm completely new to real estate, and I want to do it right.
Okay, okay, great, Sarah. I'm so glad that you're here today. Who's next?
I don't know who we've got on the screen today. If we're good, I'll go. My name's Lee Perkins. I'm a buy and hold investor in the Fort Worth, Cleburne, Burleson area.
Okay, thank you, Lee. And I guess that leaves Lisa.
I'll go last. I've been in and out of different types of real estate since just the last 20 years, but we're mostly buy and hold, but we also do trailers. But hey, in 2008, I was holding an apartment complex. So we've done that. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. My
okay.
Heart for you. Please tell me you came through that okay with that.
Oh, yeah. We were with a group. It was 545 units. We just had to hold it longer than we had expected to. So, we sold it and we made a little bit of money, but holding it just ties your money, your money up. But we were doing pretty good. So we've done different weird things, but it's always good to look for things that are different.
Oh yeah. Well, if we don't explore things that are different, then we won't really know what we like and what works for our personality. There's so many different ways to make money in real estate investing. And so I'm not going to necessarily go into that huge summary today because our topic really is finding deals. But one of the things that I really love to teach is a class on 20 different ways to make money with real estate, whether or not you buy the house. And I was a realtor for about 10 years. And then I realized that it wasn't really helping me invest. But then it's funny, I'm in Texas now, and I realize in order to do what I want to do, I'm probably going to have to go ahead and get my sales license again. And but when we're getting started, it's so good to try different things and see what we like. And for me, I love the idea of apartments, especially, and I actually like property management. So it's a lot easier for me to manage other people's property. Well, it's not anymore. It used to be a lot easier for me to manage other people's properties than to manage my own, because I felt like I was such a big softie on mine. So, but our topic today, is finding deals. And so I know we have some people that are brand new and probably haven't found a deal yet, but I'd love to hear from anybody who's experienced in the room today. How have you found deals for your buy and holds, or if you're a flipper, or I think it sounds like most of us here today are buy and holds, but or we're in services related to real estate investing. So, but how have you found deals? Who would like to go?
I can go first. Really, lately, I haven't bought a house in 2 years because people are crazy. But I'm finding, well, they want too much, and you have to balance. Yeah, but a lot of the things I'm finding now is driving around, believe it or not. And I have a lot of people that are referring because it wasn't working with website and mails out because people get too much of that. But I'm seeing signs everywhere, and I'm talking to people, and I might be buying a house that a builder that built a house that isn't quite done. But, you know, I haven't closed on those. But right now, that's the biggest thing. There are a lot of for sale by owners, or I have people referring those to me. And that's how I'm talking to people right now. But I haven't closed on those deals. But recently, that's the biggest thing I have.
Have you seen a shift in the market then from what used to work 2 years ago?
Oh, God, yeah. 2 years ago,
well, maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, 3 or 4 years ago. Yeah, because it was easier to get deals from other people, or I haven't bought off a wholesaler, but it was easier to find deals 5 years ago. And I'm a buy and hold or that, but it was just too crazy. There was too much money out in the market and running up prices from, you know, like just people that were inexperienced. But now it's coming back down, and people are more, even though Texas is a hot market, people are more willing to talk numbers that are normal and
right.
not, so that's what I'm dealing with. The other good thing for somebody to get in that's new is to really look at a manufactured home. That's the other thing, because you can get into them. I'm in the middle of negotiating to buy a brand new one, and they build it and they're put it on anywhere, like on a piece of land or something like that.
Right.
So, but it's also a cheap way for you to get into, for a new person to get into a home, because you can rent them out. I know Tim did a deal in a trailer park. So he bought a trailer, I meant. So that's the other thing I'm looking at.
Well, I'd certainly love to hear more about people who have succeeded in that, because I remember one of my very first real estate investment conferences, and they made a big thing about how, you know, you can go into a trailer park and not necessarily buy a brand new one, but you can buy a trailer for credit card.
Yeah,
I was
$5,000. You can buy a brand new. You can buy a used trailer if you can find it in a park. But also keep, instead of an apartment complex, keep your eyes out for a trailer. And if anybody finds a trailer or trailer park, let me know. And because I buy them everywhere, anywhere in Texas.
Let's talk about finding, because that's really what we're trying to get at today. And how do we actually find, you know, you mentioned driving, and that was one of the things I was going to talk about today, was driving for dollars. And I'm still going to try and pull up my slides while you all are talking, but we may just have a conversation rather than slides. But when driving for dollars, you mentioned that. Let's talk a little bit about, what are you looking for when you're driving for dollars?
Well, believe it or not, whenever I go somewhere, I use a different way to go and come back. Mm-hmm. So that's how I'm doing it. I'm not, when you're already out, be in that mindset. And that's the biggest thing. Like, I see for sale by owner signs, and then you just call them and take the conversation from there. But it's not a specific time. It's like, I know I'm going to be in this area, so I have extra time to drive in that area. That, like when I'm going to the VA hospital, that's where the deal that I found now, just by going a different way home, that I found. Mm-hmm. So that's one way to do it. And the other one is just having a certain day that I go out during the week or Friday afternoons. And believe it or not, I stop at not estate sales, but when people are having garage sales, because they know what's going on in the neighborhood. So on a Friday, you can ask them, do you know anybody in the neighborhood that might be interested in selling their house? So I'm out there asking people. So that's where I'm finding people to talk to right now in this market.
Okay. I like it. Yeah. So so it sounds like you're talking to people, and if I'm hearing you right, you're really focusing on looking for sale by owners.
Yeah, because I get the wholesalers that I get, because I'm on everybody's list, are still crazy. They're not. I haven't found a wholesaler deal recently that's worth the money, or that I can get in and out of quickly. And now I'm even finding wholesalers that are doing subject to deals that, that I don't trust that they know what they're doing. But, well, it's some of the numbers are still, they want too much, or they're saying the property is worth too much. Like Tim
yeah, that's the problem that I've had. Like I had the deal that I'm working on right now is a subject to deal, and it came to me from a wholesaler. And it was kind of funny to me because it had come to me from a wholesaler 2 years before that, and a different wholesaler a year before. And then it comes to me from this guy. Well, by now they have paid down more of their, loan. And for whatever reason, I wasn't interested before, but now it's like, oh, I can convert this to my training center that I'm looking for. So yeah, it came to me, but they were like, yeah, we want the deal was like, they have 14,000 left in their loan. The property's worth maybe 35. They think it was worth 140, but when I walked them through the numbers and pulled the comps, I'm like, this is so rural. It's really only worth, it's really worth a little bit for the land. This is not in the Metroplex. This is way out. Okay. But I'm like, this property is really worth maybe 55, 65, and it needs 60,000 worth of work. But because it's structured the way I want, even though it's not an investor deal, I was like willing to entertain it just to take over their payments and finish it out. But they have like 14,000 left on their loan. And the wholesaler was like, well, we want $5,000 up front to do this, do that. I'm like, there's not that much room in the deal. And I'm like, well, we know we did this and this and this and this. And I was like, I was like, how long have you been investing? Oh, well, this is my first deal. It's like, oh no. So, but I am looking forward to when wholesalers come back with better deals. But it's just the market is so dry right now. But I'm expecting that to change. And maybe Ruth Ann can speak to this. I don't know how much you're allowed to say since you are a lender, right? I don't know how much you're allowed to say, but it just looks like the conditions are right to see things start to really kind of come over that hill of, oh my goodness, what are we going to do with all these loans and all the foreclosures and things? And I'm hearing some people say it's going to be a huge, like deals are going to be dripping from the sky. And I hear other people say, nope, the government has taken steps to make sure that doesn't happen. So I don't know if you can comment, but I know that foreclosures and distressed sales tend to represent a good place to find leads, usually.
Well, they did. They were always like the HUD foreclosures were the biggest ones. A lot of real estate brokers did nothing but HUD foreclosures. That's all they did. Because, there's a routine to how everything has to happen, of course, with the government. But there, after, I can't think what year it was, but anyway, finally mortgage companies got smart. I mean, HUD still does a few, but HUD still does, they changed their way too. They started doing short sales instead because they said, look, it takes us X $1,000 to foreclose on a house, no matter what the price is. So why should we spend that and make the attorneys rich when we could just instead encourage our mortgage companies to take less than the full payoff to sell the house? So if the house was selling for $200 and they owed $190 and the buyer had to come out with money to sell it, the mortgage company would just say, oh, okay, I'll take $170 or $160 or whatever. So the mortgage company would take the hit then and then collect on the mortgage insurance. So they'd come out okay. And then they didn't have to foreclose. So that's why there haven't been a lot of foreclosures, even during these times that we all remember as good times, a few years ago. But I think they're going to still keep doing that. But HUD is beginning to have more and more foreclosures, but they're listing them now. They're not accepting and making decisions on bids right there at HUD anymore. They're listing them. So
in the MLS?
Is it what?
Is it listed in the MLS, you mean?
Yeah, they're listed in MLS now. Okay. So yeah, I'm sure realtors are having to bid for the contracts just like, you know, any other government business. But we're seeing a lot of people, even you know, there for a while when the rates first jumped up, only the high dollar deals were going. The low dollar sales were, people were still afraid. The high dollar people thought, I don't care, I'm gonna get it now and go on because I just got a big promotion. I don't care about the interest rate. Some of them, to move and reload, their company was paying the difference between their house they sold at 3.5% and the house they were buying at 6.5%, you know, whatever. So it seemed like the higher dollar deals didn't slow down a lot. But now there are more houses available and sellers are beginning to pay closing costs. And, you know, they didn't there for a while. So my business has picked up tremendously in the last 60 days. And I don't think, you know, at first our company thought that things would change by this summer or this fall. And now they're saying that predictions are a little bit longer than that, maybe another year. But there's so many people out of state that want to get here and have more evening hours with their families and have more recreational options, that they don't know when a house we think is overpriced is overpriced. So,
Ruth Ann, isn't that kind of because it's Texas? We have a very, because a lot of people are moving from the north to the south.
Yeah, but you know, think about it again. COVID caused all this because they found out they could work from home, and they might work for a New York company, but they want to live in the sunshine where their kids can still do basketball and baseball and all this, you know, and outdoor sports, you know, and they can still go boating and all that kind of stuff most of the year. So they'd rather live here, have a better family life. Not that I like it. I'm getting a little tired of it myself. You know how they always say the favorite thing that a Texan sees is a Californian heading back to California. But that's true. That's true. Because they come in like they are better than everybody else. Oh, I'm from California. And of course, my husband says, oh, you have my sympathy.
I love it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. They're not any better than we are. They just think they are. And after they get here and find out how friendly they are, I think they're embarrassed they were so snooty when they came.
Yeah. Yeah. I tell you, I grew up all over and I have been loving living in Texas, and there's definitely some adjustments for me, but you know, I can definitely say that this is like, as far as investing, quality of life, family time, hands down the best place I've ever lived. And the military didn't send me here this time. My husband got a civilian contract teaching, and that's what brought me to Texas. So, so it sounds like to me that not traditional. How do I want to say that? Normally, like I personally, when I teach people how to get started, I teach them how to hack the MLS. So you're basically looking for the low hanging fruit, the investor specials, and making those low ball offers. But from what I'm hearing from Ruth Ann is that it may not be the best strategy in the next year or so to really go after that, because there are a lot more concessions being offered now and a lot more lenders willing to take the short sales and things like that. Or is it that now's a great time to learn how to do short sales, so that when you find one of these distressed deals, you can cooperate with the agent and work on it? What do y'all think about that?
Well, the listing agents don't always know about short sales. There are a lot of listing agents that hear about them but don't really know how to work one. And you've got to be pretty well trained in short sale negotiations to do that with the listing. You've got to have their authorization to talk to the mortgage company and everything. And you've got to do all kinds of comps and send in and show them why there's no way the buyer can get out from under this thing without a short sale. And it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be, there's a few of the 60, 70, 80-year-old realtors who have a lot of listings, but still probably either don't know or don't want to go through the short sale process. So sometimes you may have to know that process and offer to kind of hold their hand through it if you want the house bad enough.
Because I've learned how to do short sales when I was a realtor, and I said, this is too much work. It's too much. You have to be very detailed and very organized. But hey, if we have our members who are interested, I wouldn't have the most recent contracts and things and paperwork, but boy, I could tell you how to walk through it. And I'm like, I could tell you, I don't have the personality and the stamina to stick with it. That's why I have my lane. Other people have theirs. But now for an investor though, trying to find some deals, like somebody trying to get their very first deal done. I love the idea of talking to for sale by owners, but I'd kind of like to tease that out just a little bit because I was under the impression that a lot of times for sale by owners are for sale by owners because they're trying to get more money out of the property. And so I've used to age them. That's something I used to do, like see that somebody's for sale by owner, call month after month. Hey, is this still for sale? And watch them get more and more frustrated. Has anybody done something like that? And have you found that to be useful recently here in Texas?
I'm trying to work. Sorry, I cut my video off. My internet is lousy on a good day. I am working with a for sale by owner now, and I think I'm going to be able to continue to call her back because she's delusional in what she wants. Because the identical house around the corner sold for $165, and she wants $200 for it with 20% down and 7% owner finance. And I offered her $5,000 down and $500 a month for 10 years in a balloon payment. She wants the duration of she wants payments for many years, but she is adamant she needs the interest in there. And I said, I'm giving you over market value, but she's adamant she needs that interest because she's owner financing it. So I'm going to have to find a way to talk to her in a different way. I'm not sure. My inexperience is struggling right.
Well, what's her ultimate goal?
No.
What is it she really needs? If she needs a certain amount of money every month, has she gone through a divorce or recent loss or something? Like, what's her story?
It was the house that she grew up in with her family, and her dad passed away. The house has been rented out for several years now, and her dad passed away. And so every time she goes to collect rent and do stuff, it's kind of brings up those family memories. It doesn't sound like she really needs all that much money. Because I was asking her, if you want 20, what are you going to do with $20,000? And plenty, pay off some bills, or she's got a couple kids in college. But it sounds like I don't know.
I mean, that sounds like she's very specific on what she wants. And it makes me wonder if she's got something where she needs a certain chunk of money, or if she has someone her ear saying 7%, 7%. Because I mean, if she'll take 150 for it, you can give her 7% and still come out below what you wanted,
Yeah, I went back and because it needs plenty of renovations. It's definitely in pretty sad shape. Newer roof, it's had windows replaced, and it's definitely in that good bone status. But she feels that she needs to be paid because she's quote unquote being the bank, and so I'm gonna have to work on her a little bit longer.
I've definitely got some ideas, but I'm curious to see, I have been investing for a long time, but I haven't been investing in Texas for a long time. So before I give you more ideas, I'd like to hear what the other ladies have to say. Because I think I kind of know how I would try to approach it, but on the other hand, you might not, this one may not want it bad enough. They may not have a big enough pain. or it might not have been teased out enough. Ruth Ann, did you have something? I saw you leaning forward.
Oh, no, I was trying to answer somebody's question here on the email. I apologize.
Okay. No, well, that's okay. Well, yeah, I think this is the kind of forum that I think is really great for us to be able to have these kinds of discussions. And I know that everyone is a different personality, and some of us are going to be more direct than others, and some are going to be a little more firm than others. But on this one, I'm very curious as to, I'm very curious as to what it is she really needs and wants. And it almost sounds, and y'all can jump in if you think I'm off base here, but it almost sounds like she has somebody in her ear, or she's gone onto YouTube or something and said, hey, this is what you need to get, and don't let these evil investors come in and scam you. And it may be, you know, some helpful education, like here's where the rents are, but here's the repairs that were needed, or here's where you last rented it, but here's the repairs that are needed, and here's all of this and all of this, and here's the best that's going to be a win-win. Or it could, no kidding, be, you know, she just got a teenager out of jail and needs to expunge his records and needs $20,000. We don't know.
No, I realized I was going to say something, and 7% isn't bad, in my opinion, for owner finance, because there are people with very little down and, you know, maybe under 700 credit score. Some of them are paying 7% for a loan, for a conventional loan.
Okay, because I was going to ask you that as well, because conventional right now is between 5 and 6, right?
Oh no, there aren't many 5s out there on conventional, unless it's a low LTV and 800 credit score. Most of the rates are a little higher than that, but still 7 for owner finance. That sounded, you know, realistic, but I'm not out there in the trenches either.
Yeah, I just did one at 7% and one at 6.5, so 7's right on.
So
yeah,
maybe, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I agree. I thought the 7% was fine, but it was kind of, you get the terms or you get your price, and so I was going to give her price at 200,000. And it was way more than that, but it was just a matter of kicking that can down the road. Of the ARV was 232. So,
and how much repairs are needed, do you estimate?
Right around 30.
Sarah, did you prove to her what the house around the corner that was just like it sold for? Did you show it to her in writing?
I did. I had a screenshot printed out. I showed her the ones that had sold, because she was originally saying 220 renovated, and houses were not selling at 220 fully renovated in that neighborhood. And the one that was identical to hers was sold at 165. But
I know I've heard people say that if you'll say, oh, well, you probably know Mrs. Williams right around the corner here. Your houses are exactly alike, aren't they? Oh yeah. Well, then here's proof what she just sold for. Had you been in her house lately? You know, that kind of thing. Going the extra mile and finding out the name of that person that closed around the corner might be very, very valuable, because she will have heard that name and know you've done your homework.
Okay. Yeah, I will definitely try that, because I don't think she's gonna, unless some other poor fool comes along, but I'm determined to get this house.
Don't make the mistakes I made.
Oh no, not falling in love with it, but I'm just ready to get my first deal. And no, it's not a matter of love, that's for sure.
Well, no, but you know what I'm saying though. But like, it's don't be like the people who go to the auction and pay $20,000 more than the property's worth. I think if you take the approach Ruth Ann gave, well, actually, wait, you said you did tell her. What did she say when you told her that? I'm curious. What did she say when you told her, hey, this one sold for 165? She didn't live there for a long time. This was her father's house, right?
Correct. I mean, she grew up in it, but it's been about 10 years, or it's been more than 10 years since she's lived there. but she didn't want to hear it. She just wanted to hear, I think you're right that she's got somebody saying that she needs to get that percentage and get paid that way so that an investor, like you said, isn't taking advantage of her.
Established, because honestly, when we started the discussion, I forgot that how high interest rates had climbed up. And so, I'm leaning on the person who does this for a living and says, hey, this is not really that bad. But I'm curious what else is in there, because if you're thinking that it more appropriately be priced at about 160 or maybe a little less, and she's thinking 230 minus repairs, which puts it at 200. And you said you offered her 200?
Yes, I offered her 5,000 down.
500 a month now. What does her price that she really wants it at with her 7%? What does that put her at each month?
She never said, and I couldn't get it out of her because I don't think she knows.
Oh, well, then you have an opportunity to educate.
Yeah, you can do a spreadsheet for her, but yeah. One of the other things I wanted to bring up is she may want that monthly payment because she has to keep her income at a certain level.
Yeah, and I agree, but she was fine with owner financing for 30 years, which I found surprising. Usually they only want it for a few years so they can get on with it, with life.
Do you know how old she is?
I would say we're probably around the same age. She's early 40s, I'd say.
Okay. So she's not over 65 and has to worry about what her income is, because some people are selling owner finance for 10 years and they need to keep the payments below a certain amount so it doesn't affect their income, but they're still getting a monthly. It's kind of like a reverse mortgage.
Yeah.
They sell.
I would definitely take the suggestions that you've been given here today, and as far as comparing with the neighbor, getting to find out a little bit more details that might jog some attachment with her, and then doing that spreadsheet. And I would, if the other property is worth 160 or sold for 160, she doesn't want to hear it. You can make the estimate of the repairs that are needed. Not to say you're going to inflate them crazy, but I mean, if you're already going to take a depreciation hit because it's not worth what she wants for it, you can build that into your repair estimates, and you can always have room for Murphy to show up. And by the time you nickel and dime it down and give this sales price, and then calculate the sales price at her 7% interest for 30 years, if that's what you want to do. I mean, I know it's not what you want to do. You want to be in and out. And you want to refinance it into your name and stuff. But I mean, you could still do that after it's yours. Just because you have a 30-year mortgage with her doesn't mean that, well, I shouldn't say that. I'm not the loan person, but just because you have that thing, if you put together an amortization schedule and here's what it is, I don't think legally, we want to defer to the loan person, but I don't think legally she can tell you no to pay her off early. Can they do that? Can they do that here? I know they can't in Maryland. Can they do that here in Texas?
Not at owner financing. You have to hold it at least a year from what I know, and then you can refinance a house. But if you want it as a rental property at 7%, because rates aren't going to go below that.
But like, can you request a payoff at year 2 or 3 or something like that, and say, hey, I want to refinance this out and be done with it or something like that? Because I mean, technically in Texas, they have to put you on the deed after 6 months, right? So it's technically your property.
It's your property at closing on an owner finance. Because that's when the title changes at that time. Because I've done some owner finance deals.
You know what? I was thinking lease option. I'm so sorry. You're right. Right. I was thinking lease option.
Yeah. But I just know that you have to refinance. Yeah. It on a regular deal, it's a year from what I've done. And I'm sure Ruth Ann knows more, but I know you have to hold it only a year, and they don't have a choice after that. You can refinance it if you want to.
Ruthann, I think you're muted still. Let me see if we can unmute you.
I better not comment on that because, our details are so different. Whether it's owner financed or a traditional mortgage, it doesn't matter to us. We can't give you a cash out until you've owned it 6 months if there was a note in the beginning. But we could rate and term it.
Oh, so it's not a year anymore?
I'm not sure. I'll have to look. It hadn't come up, and so I haven't looked for a while. I knew that those rules had changed, but I didn't have time to review them.
But this does bring up a really good question that I haven't come across in my investing career, because I've never known somebody who was doing an owner finance that didn't want to be paid out early, unless, well, there was one lady who had a disability issue. So she couldn't handle a huge influx of money, like Lisa was saying. And so, but I mean, that was a different situation. I knew that going into it. Can even an owner can anyone deny you the right to pay off a loan if you structure?
I think so.
No,
I think so, but Robin would be the one to tell us that, wouldn't she? Robin Jackson.
Okay. Mm-hmm. But it sounds like there's still some room for Sarah to do some education of this person and some relationship building and really getting under the surface of what it is this person wants and what pain it is. Because it's not adding up to me that, well, this property is just, it's so traumatic. Every time I see it and tell it to rent, I'm thinking of my dad. And then on the flip side, well, no, I want maximum price and I want 7% and I want this, and this. Those aren't matching up for me. So there's something else under the surface. Y'all think there might be something else? What are there any other angles that Sarah could take?
Well, maybe too, it's what does Sarah want the house for? Does she want to flip it, or does she want to hold it as a rental property? And is it rental now?
It's currently a rental. Yeah, sorry. It's currently a rental at $1,500 a month, and I would be okay with continuing to do that. I would like to start doing that.
And would the rental at $1,500 a month, would that hold her price for 30 years or hold the price? I mean, I know you said you wanted to do $500 a month for 10 years, but would it hold her price? And would it cap cash flow? I don't think so at 200 with time for maintenance and vacancy and things like that. But I don't have my mortgage calculator here to do that, to do those numbers real quick. I'm guessing Sarah's probably already done them.
It looks like I would have, with everything included, if I self-managed, it would be $622 a month is what I could come up with the payment. And so that's kind of why I put it at $500.
That includes property taxes?
So I'm thinking it sounds like Sarah's got a little bit more homework to do to make sure that this is really a good deal for her, and to make sure that whatever agreement you come to with this person, if I have a property that can rent for $1,500, personally, I like debt free. But if I was going to take on something where I'm debt, or like if I do a subject to deal and I'm taking over somebody's loan, right? Like I'll do that. If I'm not taking debt on my name, I'll do that. Then I would probably want, at least $500 or $600 of cash flow, if not more than that, just to make sure I have money set aside for repairs and I can build up an adequate savings. But that would still include your property tax as well as your insurance, because insurance can be a bear, especially on an investment property. So I think that would be some good things to take a look at and calculate out and work those numbers back to what you can offer her that might be more appealing.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, at $1,500, my property tax is $212. Insurance, I estimated $132. Vacancy of $144. Repairs $90. Self-managed, so my net operating income would be $922. So,
yeah,
with the $300 cash flow for myself, I took lower numbers just because I don't feel like I could get higher than that. That left me with around $622 a month to be able to pay.
Yeah. Partly too, personally, 1,500 seems awful low for a rental property.
Yeah, and that's in its current condition. I think fixed up, it probably could go more. So I just went off of what was currently the current rent price.
Homes for rent nearby to kind of give some kind of quasi comps on that.
No, unfortunately, I think a lot of people's rent, there's plenty of rentals in that neighborhood, I believe, but it's just owners. And so they're not on the MLS, because I use Propelio, and I've looked on Zillow and Redfin as well, and there's not a whole lot of rentals in that are on the MLS.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah, have you gone to any property management companies in the area? If they think you're going to be an investor, they might help you with rent comps that they have.
Okay. I hadn't really thought about that, actually.
And don't we have a sponsor for Tim's group that is a property manager?
Yes, I think Brian is his name, if I'm recalling it right.
He might give you some information so that you can go with something else on paper for her.
Mm-hmm.
Or for
okay.
Well, I hope that y'all are enjoying this. I know that if I'm Sarah, I'm so thankful right now to have this group of ladies around me, pouring in, speaking into my investing, so we'd help her get her first deal done. We have about maybe about 7 or 8 minutes left of our assigned meeting time, and I feel like we really did cover the theme topic, and we've talked about deals, but is there anything that anyone else wants to ask about for the group consideration? I'm making sure I've checked everybody into Tim's group, because I don't know if that $5 off of our membership applies to these kinds of meetings, but I'm going to do my best to make sure we've got it logged in there. And
that would be nice. Yeah.
I can't. He didn't say that, so don't make me put words in his mouth. We do have Kimball Property Management.
Okay, so.
Yep.
One question about this women's group, is it possible that maybe we can email out a list of the members of the group and maybe ask them to list like where they live, so we can contact them or get together outside this meeting if we wanted to, like I know the last time I was at this meeting, there was somebody in Midlothian that I didn't quite get her name, and I don't remember, what it was, but maybe I can go back to the recording and find it. But so I didn't have her contact information. So maybe that's something that we can look at doing to help the group itself.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great idea. And I did ask Tim about being able to share contact information and stuff like that. And his recommendation was put it in the chat so that the people who are here can get it. And so if I see mine and I see Sarah's in there.
Well, can you, on the recordings, can you look at the chat because it was from our last meeting. Yeah.
I think he just pulls the video.
Yeah. So that was the only thing. So maybe if it's a question we can send out or something. So I don't know.
And we can ask Tim as well, and we can send out the question. Now, I will say that people didn't really respond as much to the surveys or the things like that. It was a very small amount of people that responded, and I can definitely ask Tim about that. He gave me access to the event scheduling, but what I don't have access is to the member information to see, you know, people's contact information and all that stuff so that we could build that list. So it's really going to be on us. And I will certainly start building that list, like with what I've got here. We've got Ruth Ann, Sarah, we've got me, Lisa, if you want to put your stuff in. I think that's probably going to be the, yeah, I don't even have access to see who pre-registered in that screen. That's probably going to be what, hey, if you put your name and information in this list, then we will send you everybody else who opted in to putting their name and info. And I think Tim can send that out. I can't make promises for him, but I'm going to certainly ask because I think that's a reasonable request. That's interesting. We have 12 people pre-registered for today's event. And if you all hear that anybody had trouble getting in, please do let me know, because I tried to make it as easy as possible while still respecting Tim's wishes for security of the group. Okay. All right. Now, how do you all feel about this time? Is this still a good time for everybody? This time block every fourth Monday at 5:45. Is that still good for everybody?
Oh, yeah.
Or I guess more appropriately, is there someone who feels like this is not a good time? So, and I'm going to say this for the sake of the recording. If there's somebody who feels like this is not a good time, let me know. If you want to meet in person and you're convenient to Granbury, I'm in my Granbury office, which is at the workplace Granbury. It's a co-office, a co-sharing office space. And so if someone wants to be in person, that's where I am. It's a little ways away from Fort Worth, but if you're convenient to Granbury, you're welcome to be here in person, and we'll figure out how to make that work where we can see everybody, you know, on the Zoom. But other than that, I guess same time, same place. Let me pull up the calendar and let everybody know when our next meeting will be. The fourth Monday of, okay, so the fourth Monday of May has 5 weeks, 5 Mondays. The fourth Monday of May is going to be May the 22nd. So we will meet May the 22nd at 5:45. And I think since we talked a little bit about finding deals today, what I'd like to do next week is talk about valuing deals. How do you know how much to offer and what to do? And then we're going to start scheduling. I think probably once we get past summer, we're going to start scheduling our experts like Ruth Ann and Lisa oh dear, I'm going to be embarrassed on the recording because I forgot her name, but we have people lined up who have done deals to talk about their experiences. And we've got Robin, who said she would do a little bit to kick off a meeting. We have, Jennifer. She's a newer investor, but she's done a couple deals. She's going to talk a little bit. And so my hope is that we'll get our local ladies to talk for about 5 or 10 minutes at the beginning of our meetings, and then be able to roll into the topic of discussion for that day based on what they're talking about. And so I'm just a little hesitant to just try to formalize that during summer, but for next month, we'll do how to value. And then after that, we'll see if people can jump in and have those topics. So if anybody on the line today, watch here live or watching after the fact, if you want to take on a topic for June or July or August or September or so on or so forth, just let me know and we'll get that scheduled out. But for now, I think that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead, unless somebody else has something they want for the recording, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, and then we can ask any questions that if anybody has that are for private, okay? Because I do think that this is probably just going to go out to the registered members of the group. So, okay, anything else? Any last thoughts? All right, let me go ahead and pause the recording. If you're watching on the recording, I hope to see you on May the 22nd at 5:45 Central via Zoom. You can register in the group link on the calendar. Y'all take care. Be blessed.